Hi everybody, this is Tim from Trading Strategy Guides. This is my not-so-live training. I apologize. I ran into issues with my microphone, and I got them all worked out now, so I'm releasing this training as a video. I apologize for those of you who may have suffered through this when it was live an hour or so ago. So anyway, we'll get on to it. Today we're going to look at a great pivot point day trading strategy. I do want to mention earlier today that the US dollar went wacko, and in case you're wondering what that was US Fed Chair Powell reading a prepared statement to the Congress, and apparently it wasn't too good. I still haven't really looked at the content of it, but this is the site I use to answer questions like that, forexlive.com. I'll put the link below the video for those of you that are interested in checking it out. As always, you can speed this video up by clicking the gear icon in the lower right and selecting a faster speed. So stick around to the end and we'll be reaching into the archives to share a trading maxim. Also, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and then click the bell for notifications. Now let's look at a couple of trade updates this morning. You may have gotten my tweet a couple of days ago that I entered this Litecoin. Well, just so you know, I'm an idiot and I didn't follow my rules and I ended up taking the hit on this one. Notice that when I entered this, I didn't have enough volume. Let's see, I entered on this candle right here. This is where the line was, this light pink line right here. I entered on the close above the line on this candle right here, but there was not even 3/4 of the average volume on that candle. So I should not have even entered this trade. Hopefully you guys didn't listen to me and didn't listen to my Twitter feed and didn't actually take this hit. But I went ahead and closed it on yesterday's close because it was back inside the triangle. But I shouldn't have been in it to begin with because there wasn't enough volume. So I have redrawn this triangle out here to include this move. I still think this is valid because the volume is still dropping, the volatility is still dropping. So keep an eye on this. I took about a 1% hit right here. I did not hold to the stop out. If you're still in it, I recommend closing this for right now and looking for a new opportunity. The S&P 500 dropped and hit my break-even stop on my second half, so I'm done with this trade for now. Sadly, you see what it's doing today, but that's just the way it is. This was a nice test of the trading range right down here, and I like that. Had I not had a stop right there, I would have liked this trade a lot. I missed entering right there. I would have entered this trade. But I missed it, so I'm out right now. No big deal. These things happen. There will always be another trade. Yesterday, Tesla pushed down to within 11 cents of my stop right here. Did not take me out. So the second half is currently riding break even, and we got this nice gap up today. So this is pretty sweet. If this makes a new high, I'll pull the stop up to just below this candle right here. So Disney fudged and gapped down to below the triangle on yesterday's open. Still watching for a close above this resistance level. You can see the volume and volatility are still dropping off right here. So I may end up redrawing this triangle a bit. I'll clue you in the next video if I do. Remember to be careful of the low volumes during July. I forgot and I had to take a loss because of it. Losses are okay if they're a result of following the rules. They're stupid if they're the result of ignoring the rules. However, don't beat yourself up too much for it. Just learn the lesson and move on. Otherwise, your trading psychology will just get all screwed up. Okay, it's time to talk about our strategy for this week. But first, let's start by talking about pivot points for a minute. I suppose some of you are wondering, what the heck is a pivot point? Pivot points are horizontal support and resistance levels that are used by many professional traders to make decisions on trade reversals or trade continuations. Pivot points are calculated from the high, low, and close prices of the last close candle for the time frame in question. So in other words, daily pivots are based on the last closed daily candle weekly pivots on the last closed weekly candle, and so on. For the purposes of this strategy, we'll only be looking at the daily pivot points. This is what the daily pivot points look like on a 4-hour chart. Not all pivot indicators will look exactly like this, but they'll be close to this. These are the specific calculations for each level. I'm not going to go into any detail on this because there are enough indicators that will calculate this automatically. I'm just putting this up here so you mathy geeks can understand what the calculation entails. You see, I'm one of those mathy geeks, and I always want to know how an indicator is calculated, so I just want to share this for you guys. You don't need to know this to use pivot points. You can either pause the video and screenshot this slide, or you can find the download link to the slideshow below. This is what the pivot points look like with no chart behind it. Essentially, you see the central pivot right here. We just typically call that just the pivot. You can see the resistance lines that are calculated above the pivot and the support lines that are below the pivot. So if you hear a trader say that price bounced off the daily S2 level, it's the daily S2 level, and you know what the trader means. Typically, if the price is trading above yesterday's daily central pivot, you can expect the day to be bullish. Now, with any trading idea or trading strategy, this doesn't happen this way 100% of the time. But it's often enough that it gives us an edge. Okay, let's get into the strategy. Step 1, trade only at the London Open or 8 a.m. GMT. This strategy is best traded during the London session because that's when the big banks are opening for business and they're controlling the market. We're going to be looking at 15-minute charts for this strategy. The next step, sell at the market if after the first 15 minutes price is below the central pivot point. This is a fairly simple strategy. After the close of the first 15-minute candle, sell with a market order if the price is below the central pivot point. Now, if after the first 15 minutes of the London session, price is too close to a support level, S1, S2 levels down here, just move on, skip this trade. Price is likely to bounce at each support level, plus you want to make sure that there's enough profit in the trade to make it worth the risk. Hide your protective stop loss 5 to 10 pips above the central pivot. This is the first candle after the London Open. Since it's below the central pivot right here, you're going to sell on this close, and you're going to put your stop loss just above the central pivot level, 5 to 10 pips. If during the course of the day, after you've entered your trade, price pops above the central pivot level here, or even worse, closes above that, you'll want to be out of this trade. So that's the reason why you'll put stop loss, and you put a little buffer above there in case it head fakes above the line. Step 4, take partial profit at the first support level. Move your stop to break even at that point. And then take partial profit at the second support level and move your stop behind the first support level. Or you can just close your trade at the second support level. I'll show you an example of why you might want to just take half off here and a quarter off here and let it run. Or take half off here, move your stop to break even. When it hits the second support level, put your stop at the first support level and let it continue to run. Today was a really good day, and I'll show you an example of that later on the live chart. And of course, everything is just the opposite for a buy trade. You look for price to be above the central pivot level. After the first 15 minutes of the market, take your buy trade, place your stop 5 to 10 pips below the central pivot level, and then take your profit at the first and/or second and/or third resistance levels. Let's take a look at a live chart now, and this is how it would have worked out today on the Euro USD. Now, I've got the pivot points standard and the sessions on chart standard trading view indicators here. You can find them right up here in indicators, on built-ins. Scroll down to P, pivot points standards, type sessions, and you'll get a whole bunch of different sessions in the public library. I selected sessions on chart, and here's a good rule of thumb. Whenever you're looking for a specific indicator, I look for the one with the most likes. I don't know if that's cheating or not, but I look at that one first. I will look at all the others, decide which one I like the best, but in this case I like this sessions on chart. Now this is what they look like, this green and tan and pink is the sessions on chart indicator. This green indicates the London session. So this is the first candle of the London session right here. This is a 15-minute Euro USD chart, and you would have taken your buy on the close of this candle right here, which was 112.12-ish. That's because the central pivot is down here at 112.06, 112.07, so we could expect price to be bullish since it had pushed above that level. And it almost immediately, or within the hour, came up here and hit the first take profit at R1. At that point, I would have moved my stop to just below this level, actually right at that level, I'm sorry, and I would have held on to it. It did not get stopped out here. It came very close, but if it had gotten stopped out, that's no big deal. It's still not a loser. It's still a winner. But then it pushed on up on the news, and this was a great day to be in this one. This news event with Fed Chair Powell this morning pushed price up hard. Second profit would have been here at 112.32. If you had done like I had talked about earlier, as soon as it hit this point, move your stop up to here. As soon as it hit this R3 level, move the stop up to R2, and we would still be in this trade. And it looks like it could be reversing for a little bit more push up. This would have been nice if we'd actually been in this, but that's an example of several ways to manage this trade. Okay, and that's the pivot points day trading strategy. If you guys have any questions on this strategy, just put them below the video in the comments, and I will catch them in the next day or two and do the best I can to give you an answer. If the answer requires some video, I'll stick it in Friday's video. Which reminds me, I'm going to be gone for most of Friday, so I will be doing Friday's video probably late tomorrow, and posting it late tomorrow or early Friday. Okay, it's everyone's favorite time, trading Maxim time. Someone asked me a few weeks ago what a Maxim is. It didn't occur to me that someone would not know what that is. I should have explained it from the start. But according to the dictionary, a maxim is a general truth, a fundamental principle, or a rule of conduct, or sometimes just a proverbial saying. Some of my maxims I use to keep me focused during my trading. Others are just motivational quotes that I find useful in general. I use these maxims to help me not only in my trading, but in my life focus. Most of my maxims come from reading, or they're suggested to me by friends, coaches, teachers, or other acquaintances. I'll add a new maxim to my list whenever I find something that fits me. I hope they help you as much as they've helped me. I suggest you start your own list of maxims to help in your trading. Feel free to borrow from my list. Hopefully they'll be in an ebook someday. Today, we're going to draw from the archives. Trading maxim number 10. Don't worry if you left money on the table. It's not worth the ulcers. This is another one of those tough love rules. You guys know how much I love doling out tough love, right? You cannot stress about missed trades, or trades you close too early, or some other something. It's over. It's done. You shouldn't re-enter the trade unless you get a valid trade signal, or if it's part of your rules to enter a retrade after you've closed it. Okay? Do not enter a trade without a rule, without a signal. If you don't get a signal, just move on. There will always be another trade. I know you've heard that maxim before, right? And you've got better things to do with your life than worry about something that you can't change. Okay, remember, these are the steps to the pivot points day trading strategy. Trade only during the London Open. Sell at the market if after the first 15 minutes the price is trading below the central pivot point, or buy at the market if the price is above the central pivot point. Hide your protective stop 5 to 10 pips behind the central pivot. Take partial profit at the first support or resistance level. Move your stop to break even at that point, and then you can take partial profit at the next support or resistance level and move your stop behind support 1, or just close the trade. Or you can just continue to follow stops at this point. Every time it hits a new support or resistance level, move your stop loss up to the next support or resistance level behind it. Just be sure to write down your rules and follow them to the letter. That's the key. As some of you probably know, last Thursday was a U.S. holiday, and far be it from my buds at Trading Strategy Guides to pass up a chance to have an awesome sale. These are some of the deals you can expect to see. But here's the dealio. This sale ends tonight at midnight New York time. That's like, I don't know, 14 hours from now or something. So if you plan on picking up some of these indicators at these prices, now is the time to do it. And sales like this are what allows us to continue to do these free videos for you guys. Check below this video and you'll find a link to this sale. Do it. Do it now. Hey, let's do this again next week. Except next week, let's actually do it live at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for the webinar. Again, my apologies for my technical issues. I got them solved now, though. I'm using the mic, so that's a good thing. And watch for my analysis videos on Monday and Friday, or this week, maybe a little earlier on Thursday night. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if this webinar helped you, please hit the thumbs up below. Have a great remainder of your week, and I will see you next time.